The Story of the Sultan and Scheherezade. There was once a wise and powerful sultan who rose to power by conquering all the great empires of his time. He was a good man, and his kingdom prospered. The sultan loved and adored no one else but this one woman. However, this woman did not return his love. Nevertheless, because she wanted wealth and power, she eventually married him. Every day the sultan would lavish his love and attention on her, but she was cold to him, cruel and heartless. He tried pleasing her in all manners possible, but nothing truly moved her heart to him. One day, as the sultan returned to his palace, he caught her cheating on him with another man. With the last will of his broken heart, he sent her to the dungeons. As the months passed, the sultan's mood grew darker and darker. "Surely all women are just cheats and traitors," he thought to himself. "Never could they love a man, but only use him for their own sake." In his agony and pain, he decreed that for each and every new day, a new wife was to be brought to him. "This time," he thought to himself, "I will see through their wickedness and cruelty." And so, after only a single night spent with each new wife, the sultan would send her to the dungeons the very next morning. Months turned into years as rumors of the sultan's actions drove all the women away from his palace. Those who were unwillingly chosen to be his next bride cried in despair as they waited for their impending doom. Near the palace lived Scheherezade, the brave and beautiful young daughter of the sultan's vizier. For years she had surrounded herself with books and spent her nights reading numerous ancient stories and reciting classical poems. Against her father's wishes, she boldly volunteered to marry the sultan. On her first night with the sultan, when the moon was beaming solemnly through the window, and the sultan was lying tired on his bed, Scheherezade suddenly asked him if she might tell him a story. The sultan, fatigued and uninterested, allowed her to do so. Cautiously but lovingly, Scheherezade began her tale, describing the various backgrounds vividly and brilliantly, filling each character in the story with soul and complexity, and altering her voice and tone to match each instance and situation. She light-heartedly carried her narrative along to charm and please the sultan, adding twists and turns to the story to surprise him and to hold his attention fast. Dawn broke, and Scheherezade graciously asked the sultan if she might have a rest, for she could not possibly end the story in one night. The sultan, enchanted by her words, agreed, under the condition that she would finish the story the following evening. Thus, Scheherezade was kept out of the dungeons so that she might finish her story on the next night. On her second night, as agreed, Scheherezade ended her grand account. But before the sultan could even reflect on her marvelous tale, Scheherezade began yet another story, an even greater story, with more adventure, romance, and political intrigue. Fascinated, the sultan listened with delight and joy as Scheherezade took him on a new and fantastic journey through her imagination. Time quickly passed, and as the sun rose, Scheherezade once more required another night in order to finish her tale. And so Scheherezade stayed in the palace another day and another, concluding and starting a new story every night, each one better than the last. At the end of 1,001 nights and 1,000 stories, Scheherezade told the king that she had no more stories to tell him. But the sultan didn't mind, for during these 1,001 nights, He had fallen in love with Scheherezade. So having been made a kinder and wiser man because of Scheherezade and her wondrous stories, the Sultan decided to release all the women he had so unjustly imprisoned. He also made Scheherezade his queen and lived happily ever after with Scheherezade by his side. The end.